This presentation is on the case for servant leadership executive peer advisory groups at the 2023 Annual Research Roundtable of Regent University at the Servant Leadership Focus.
So, our key point is that a community of leaders created through the formation of a servant leadership focused executive peer advisory group accelerates the character development of servant leaders. My name is Dr. Jeff Doolittle. I'm the author of Life Changing Leadership Habits 10 Proven Principles That Will Elevate People, Profit, and Purpose. I am the founder of Organizational Talent Consulting, a premier executive coaching, leadership development, and organizational development consulting firm, and I am an aspiring grandpa.
My name is Dr. Jay Hawthorne, and I am the CEO of a fluid power company, a hope-powered leadership coach, and an aspiring saxophonist, although I too would like to be a grandpa. It's hard for me to think about the power of peer groups without remembering Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. Much of what peer groups do is serve one another by helping overcome shortcomings, by revealing the blind spots that before we get blindsided. As Christians, we know from Galatians 6 that we are aided by the Spirit of God in this project as we bear one another's burdens.
So, what is a servant leadership executive peer advisory group? Although well researched, there is not one definition of what is servant leadership. My favorite quote comes from Greenleaf and Spears. The best test and difficult to administer is, do those served grow as persons? Do they, while being served, become healthier, wiser, freer, and more autonomous, more likely themselves to become servants? And what is the effect on the least privileged in society? Will they benefit, or at least will they not be further deprived? Servant leadership peer advisory groups at their heart are intentionally a community of leaders who have committed to serving one another to further their leadership and grow organizations. By integrating servant leadership intentionally into the peer advisory group model, peer groups become more effective and servant leadership is more clearly embodied.
So, why servant leadership executive peer advisory groups now? Many organizations today are overly organizationally and results oriented as they struggle to survive in the post pandemic world. People today are looking for the outcomes that servant leadership provides. Servant leadership balances the development of organizational, relational, and follower needs.
In a global study by Edelman, few people are willing to help, work with, and live near people they disagree with on things that are important to them. We also know there are many red flags in the workplace. Gallup found evidence that suggested 2 in 10 employees rate their mental health as fair or poor. 5 in 10 are doing the minimum required. You may have heard of quiet quitting, and only 3 in 10 are engaged. Although the majority of executive leaders believe their teams have the psychological safety needed, evidence suggests that only 43% of employees experience a positive team climate at the work, and only 30 see a need to say something when they see something is wrong, and only 30% believe their opinion counts.
SERVE in the SERVE model is an acronym for servant leadership, ethics, results, vision, and excellence. And it provides a framework that produces the results that organizations and leaders need. It balances the development of organizational, relational, and follower needs while maintaining the results needed to sustain the common good. How the SERVE model works is when the 5 elements are practiced in community, the members will balance organizational and individual foci as well as relational needs and organizational needs. Each aspect of the model balances and enhances one another. By forming a peer group within the model of servant leadership, the needs of the leader are met, as well as providing the leader a model to serve his or her followers first. Ethics provide a standard to align the moral behaviors as the group practices caring for one another. Results bring a realistic feedback into the formation of the leader's effectiveness. And vision fosters a hope filled expectation, positively environing followers and humanizing goal attainment. Excellence sharpens performance, but is contextually constrained by servanthood, facilitating both the organizational ends while maximizing personal development.
Within a servant leadership framework, executive peer advisory groups do not ascribe to a one dimensional or opposites mindset. Servant leadership is a leadership style that unlocks a multitude of options for members when approaching workplace dilemmas and naturally orients members towards serving first. There are many dilemmas within organizations, such as cost versus quality or results versus relationships. Leadership creates dilemmas between right and right, and some perceive dilemmas as opposites. But servant leadership instead adopts this holistic thinking and views opposites as mutually interdependent. Servant leadership amplifies a fundamental shift in thinking to leverage differences. So rather than considering collective group diversity and the differences of their workplace challenges as being opposites, servant leadership encourages cyclical thinking among the group to reveal creative solutions. Instead of applying analysis thinking that breaks apart challenges, looking at the places and pieces individually, servant leadership promotes a mindset of synthesis thinking that enables the appreciative approach to putting ideas and information together to see patterns for how things come together, amplifying group outcomes.
Ethics. As any self aware leader knows the paradox, it's hard to lead because of people, but it's because of people that we want to lead. Dallas Willard says that the whole task of ethics is to find a reason or a basis on which to stand to enable you not to do what you want to do. Serve groups are populated by people who know the struggle of choosing what is best for others when it's tempting to be selfish. On the positive side, servant leaders are empowered to make ethical choices because they can cultivate a compassionate love. Compassionate love, according to Van Derendik and Patterson, is the cornerstone of servant leadership for others and in their communities to compel leaders to serve. Love is always directed at what is good. If you love something, you are set to advance what is good for it.
Results. Most of these executives join peer advisory groups looking to grow as individuals and create economic value for their organization. These groups work individually and in community toward achieving and inspiring challenging goals. With peer accountability and help, servant leadership then amplifies their individual and organizational results through increasing intrinsic motivation and organizational citizenship behavior. Evidence suggests that a positive link between higher levels of intrinsic motivation and productivity and engagement. And in addition to these increased productivity, servant leadership impacts organizational citizenship behavior, or OCB. It is considered the penultimate type of performance in organizations. It is the discretionary contribution of worthy behavior without organizational expectation. So consider members in this serve group. They're in a meeting and two members, both having a contribution to make towards the conversation that's being discussed. One of them speaks up and shares, the other doesn't. Even though for both of them, it's optional. That is the idea of discretionary effort, and servant leadership amplifies this type of effort of the individual.
Vision. Vision fosters a hope filled expectation, positively environing followers and humanizing goal attainment. Vision, in other words, fuels servant leaders with a contagious view of the common good. And because it's common, it energizes both the members of the serve group and their organizational followers through them. Hope theory shows how servant leaders can motivate followers and peers with a desirable goal, that's the G, feel empowered by an awareness of their agency, that's the A, and acquire resilient grit by the formulation of pathways to obtain the goal. Hope fills in the gap. GAP.
Excellence. Organizational excellence is a commonly measured in terms of growth, financial performance, and better services and products. In a workplace climate where leaders are commonly expected to do more with less, it is easy to fall into this trap of tolerating lower standards. The pursuit of excellence, though, sharpens individual and organizational performance. Vince Lombardi, considered by many to be the greatest coach and one of the greatest leaders in American sports history, suggested that it is the pursuit of perfection that leads to excellence. Now, servant leadership, peer advisory groups prioritize well-being and development. The servant leadership framework enhances high-quality, trust-based relationships where each member feels valued and safe to contribute. Trust and collaboration are fundamental to achieving excellence as they contribute to the willingness of members to take risks and to share ideas. Through humility, service, and transparent expectations, goals, and responsibilities, the Servant Leadership Peer Advisory Group fosters a climate of accountability, trust, and collaboration. And these are critical for excellence. They ensure each member is responsible for their contribution and are committed then to achieving high standards.
Now, here are some questions that we hope will help you enter into the dialogue about serve groups. What new individual and organizational opportunities might be created by a serve group? What will the future of serve groups look like considering this new immersive collaboration technology? Is industry or company specialization within serve groups particularly effective? And particularly, who do you think is a good fit for a serve group? What do you think that they would take away from participating in such a community? Thank you.
Thank you.